Something is happening tonight that nobody in Tel Aviv, nobody in Washington, and nobody inside that so-called untouchable parliament building ever believed they would live to see. From a quiet evening to a sudden siren to explosions echoing right next to the Knesset itself, the entire picture of this region just flipped upside down in a matter of minutes. And I am telling you right now, what you are about to hear is not a normal news update. This is the moment the rules changed. This is the moment fear walked into a building that was supposed to be the safest place on earth for the occupation's leaders. And the strangest part is that the world is being told to stay calm while the people inside that building are running for cover. Let me paint the picture for you because the details matter. Reports started coming in fast. Loud blasts, shaking windows, smoke rising near the heart of Jerusalem. Lawmakers reportedly rushed out of a live session. Security teams sprinted through hallways. Phones started ringing in every direction. And while the official channels tried to act like everything was under control, independent sources, local witnesses, and regional monitors were already saying the same thing. Something hit. Something landed. Something got through. And it landed close, way too close, to the one building that was never supposed to be touched. Now here is where it gets even more intense. Within minutes, Iranian-linked channels started celebrating. They were not shy about it. They were not careful with their words. They were saying this was retaliation. They were saying this was a message. They were saying the days of one-sided strikes are over. And whether you believe their claims fully or not, you cannot ignore the timing, you cannot ignore the location, and you cannot ignore the fact that the Knesset, of all places, is suddenly in the conversation as a target. But before I go deeper, and trust me, we are going much deeper tonight, I need you to do one small thing. If you want the real story, the kind that big networks will twist, water down, or completely bury by morning, then hit that subscribe button right now, not later. Right now, because this channel is going to follow this story minute by minute, and you do not want to miss the next update when the smoke finally clears. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and let's keep moving, because what comes next is even bigger. Here is the question nobody in the mainstream wants to ask out loud. How did this even happen? How does a country that brags about the Iron Dome, the Arrow system, layered air defense, satellites, radar networks, and billions of dollars in American support suddenly find itself with explosions near its own parliament? That is not a small failure. That is not a glitch. That is a crack in the entire image of invincibility that the occupation has been selling to the world for decades. And cracks like this do not stay small. Cracks like this grow. Cracks like this change history. Let's talk about what triggered this moment, because nothing in this region happens out of nowhere. Just days ago, the occupation carried out heavy strikes in Lebanon. Civilian areas were hit, families were pulled from the rubble, children, mothers, entire homes turned into dust. The world barely blinked. The headlines moved on within hours, but Iran did not move on. Hezbollah did not move on. The Houthis did not move on. And tonight, the message they are sending is simple. You hit our people. We hit your parliament. You break the rules. We rewrite them. And this is where the emotional weight of this story really lands. Because for years, ordinary people across the region have been told to accept the pain, accept the bombs, accept the loss, accept the silence, accept that nothing will ever change. But tonight, something did change. Tonight, the fear shifted directions. Tonight, the people who were used to causing panic are the ones running through hallways looking for shelter. And whether you support one side or the other, you have to admit this is a turning point that will be talked about for years. Now let's look at the bigger map, because this is not just about one building. Reports are coming in from multiple directions. There are claims of strikes near settlements close to the Lebanese border. There are claims of impacts near the Haifa Bay area, where the occupation's most important fuel and chemical infrastructure sits. There are claims of fires, columns of smoke, and emergency crews working around the clock. If even half of these reports turn out to be accurate, this is not a single incident. This is a coordinated wave. This is a planned operation. This is a message delivered in multiple languages at the same time. And here is something that will blow your mind. While all of this was happening, the Houthis in Yemen reportedly launched their own missile toward the occupied territories. Think about that for a second. A small group sitting thousands of kilometers away in one of the poorest regions on Earth is now coordinating strikes with one of the largest militaries in the Middle East. The resistance, whether you love it or hate it, has built something the West never thought possible. A network, a chain, a team. And tonight that team moved together. Now stay with me, because I want to ask you something honestly. Have you ever seen a moment in the news where you could literally feel the world shift while you were watching it? That is what tonight feels like. And if you are feeling it too, drop a comment below with one single word, just one word that describes what you feel right now. Shock, fear, hope, anger, pride, confusion. Whatever it is, type it, because comments like that are what push this video past the algorithm walls that try to hide stories like this. And while you are at it, if you have not subscribed yet, this is your second reminder. Subscribe now, because the next 48 hours are going to be wild, and I do not want you finding out the truth from someone else. Let's zoom into Washington for a moment, because the American reaction tells you everything you need to know. Sources are reporting frantic phone calls, emergency meetings, closed-door briefings. The Trump administration, which has been trying to look strong and in control, is now scrambling. Why? Because the worst nightmare for any American president is being dragged into a war they did not plan, on a timeline they did not choose, by an ally who refuses to listen. And tonight, that nightmare is knocking on the door of the White House. Netanyahu is in a corner, and corners make people dangerous. His political career is hanging by a thread. His coalition is fragile. His people are tired, his soldiers are exhausted, and now his parliament, the very symbol of his power, has explosions reported right next to it. A leader in that position has only two choices: step back and admit weakness, or escalate and gamble everything. And history tells us which option leaders like him usually pick. They escalate, they double down, they throw more fuel on the fire, hoping the flames will somehow save them. But here is the part the big networks will not say out loud. Iran is not the Iran of 10 years ago. Iran is not the Iran of 5 years ago. Iran today has hypersonic missiles, drone swarms, underground launch tunnels, and a chain of allies stretching from Yemen to Lebanon to Iraq to Syria. When you poke a country like that, you are not poking a single nation. You are poking an entire network. And that network just proved tonight that it can reach the heart of Jerusalem. Let me slow down for a second and talk about the human side of this. Because behind every missile, behind every headline, behind every breaking news banner, there are real people. There are families in Tel Aviv hiding in shelters tonight. There are families in Beirut still burying their dead from last week. There are families in Gaza who have not had a safe night in months. There are families in Yemen who have lived under bombs for years. And no matter which flag you wave, no matter which side you support, the truth is that ordinary people are paying the price for decisions made by men in suits who will never see a battlefield in their lives. Now back to the strategy, because this is where it gets sharp. Look at how this attack was designed. It was not random. It was not emotional. It was not a one-off. The targets reportedly include parliament areas, energy infrastructure, border settlements, and military zones. That is a textbook pressure campaign. You hit the symbol of power, you hit the source of fuel, you hit the edge of the territory, and you do it all at once so the enemy cannot focus on a single front. That is not chaos, that is chess. And tonight, somebody played a very dangerous move. And here is the twist that almost nobody is talking about. The occupation's air defense was supposed to stop all of this. The Iron Dome was supposed to be magic. The Arrow system was supposed to be untouchable. But tonight, the magic faded. Interceptors missed. Warnings came too late. Sirens screamed in cities that thought they were safe. And the world is now watching a system that was sold as perfect suddenly look very, very human. That single fact alone will change how every country in the region thinks about defense for the next decade. Take a breath with me for a second, because I know this is heavy. I know this is a lot. I know your heart might be racing right now, but this is exactly why you need to stay until the end, because the next part of this story is the part most channels will refuse to talk about, the part that connects the dots, the part that shows you where this is really heading. And if you have made it this far with me, you already know this is not just another news clip. This is the kind of moment people will be writing books about 10 years from now. So let's talk about what comes next, because that is the question on everybody's mind. Will the occupation retaliate? Almost certainly. Will Iran respond again if attacked? Without a doubt. Will the Houthis fire more missiles? They already promised they would. Will Hezbollah open the northern front fully? That is the scenario every general in the region is staring at right now. And will the United States be able to hold all of this together? That, my friend, is the trillion-dollar question, because Washington can pressure, threaten, beg, and bargain, but Washington cannot control a region where the rules have already been broken. And here is the scariest part of all, the Strait of Hormuz, one narrow strip of water, one choke point. If Iran decides to close it, even partially, the entire global economy feels the punch. Oil prices spike, gas prices jump, food prices climb, shipping routes shake, stock markets shiver, your grocery bill, your fuel tank, your monthly budget, all of it gets touched by a war happening thousands of miles away. That is how connected this world has become, and that is why tonight matters to you, even if you live nowhere near the Middle East. Let me bring it back home with something simple. Tonight, a building that was supposed to be untouchable felt the shake of war. Tonight, a system that was supposed to be perfect showed its cracks. Tonight, a region that was told to stay quiet refused. Tonight, a message was sent in fire and smoke. And tonight, the world learned that no fortress, no shield, no alliance, and no superpower can guarantee safety forever. History does not ask for permission. History walks in, knocks on the door, and changes everything while the people inside are still arguing about who should answer. Before I let you go, I want you to think about this carefully. If a parliament can be shaken, if an air defense can be cracked, if a superpower can be ignored, then what does that mean for the future of war itself? What does that mean for every country watching this play out tonight? What does that mean for the next generation that will grow up in a world where the old rules no longer apply? These are not small questions. These are the questions that will shape the next 10 years of human history. And you, sitting there right now, are watching it begin in real time. So here's my question to you, and I want you to answer it honestly in the comments. Do you believe tonight was the night the balance of power in the Middle East truly shifted forever? Or do you believe this is just one more chapter in a war that has no ending in sight? Type your answer below. One sentence, one thought, one truth. Because your voice matters, your view matters, and your comment is what keeps real journalism alive on this platform. Stay with me, stay alert, and stay tuned, because the smoke has not even started to clear yet, and the next update might change everything all over again.